Welcome to the Steering Change Podcast, navigating through the commercial transportation industry in Alberta and beyond, powered by the Alberta Motor Transport Association. Here's your host, Kelsey Hipkin.
Hello, listeners of Steering Change. Let's get a little philosophical today. What's in a job? Question mark. Whether you're transporting goods down the highway, ensuring products are on store shelves, wielding a wrench to ensure vehicles are safe as they travel, behind a desk dealing with vendors or customers, or in a set of headphones in constant communication with drivers who keep trucks on the go, it's your workplace environment that has you staying on to build a thriving career or moving on to different opportunities. In today's episode, we'll be exploring retention in commercial transportation in Alberta with a focus on drivers, yes, but also on all aspects of what makes a carrier, supplier, and more tick in this industry. We'll be chatting with Leah Mawer, Vice President of Human Resources with Caron Transportation Systems, about retention, hiring challenges, and Caron's 8-year tenure as a Trucking HR Canada top fleet employer. And speaking of THRC, we also sit down with Tanara Ferguson and Alero Okujagu to delve into the statistics of retention in Alberta, workplace culture, and how to get involved as a top fleet employer. And now we jump to Leah Mawer, Vice President of Human Resources with Caron Transportation Systems. Leah, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Leah, can you tell us a bit about the work that you do with Caron?
So I'm the Vice President of Human Resources. I have been in the role for just about a year now. So for me, I'm really leading the team here. I've got a team of HR professionals, a team of payroll professionals, and a marketing individual as well. So I spend a lot of time leading and charting the strategy for the people operations of the organization, which is the number one heartbeat of this particular industry is people, and that's what I do.
Caron has been a Trucking HR Canada top fleet employer for the past 8 years. Why is this so important for your team to focus on retention?
Well, in terms of Trucking HR Canada being part of being a top fleet employer, well, for us, it's really about having that brand recognition out there for new candidates. It's, they come in, they go, okay, you're a top fleet employer. That tells us that you're at least meeting some minimum standards out there, and exceeding them. And I think that is. That's really important, especially I find it maybe less with our drivers, but more with the support staff that's coming in. They're a little more cognizant of that. But some drivers absolutely acknowledge it as well, and we're really proud to be part of that program. It's a great program, and they really hold our feet to the fire in terms of our standards that we uphold at the organization. So.
Awesome. And speaking of from drivers to that support staff that you mentioned, are there any unique challenges that you face when hiring?
So when we're hiring drivers specifically, the market has definitely softened in the last couple of years, but it is always a challenge. The unemployment rate for drivers is very, very low, and so for us, that's really a huge challenge that we're constantly trying to, come up with new ideas, new approaches, tailoring our benefits, tailoring different programs to our drivers, and driver recognition is one of the things that we spend a lot of time focusing on as well.
Awesome. And kind of in that same thread, are you finding it difficult to stay competitive in the commercial transportation hiring market?
We're about as competitive as everyone else out there. I think Caron has a great reputation in the industry. We pride ourselves on having, updated modern equipment. Drivers are going to expect that they're going to have well-maintained equipment. That helps. Some of the other things that we focus on are, we're constantly reviewing our compensation structure, constantly reviewing our benefits offering, all of those things that are important to drivers. Drivers really look for those kinds of things, and that's important. And also, being an employer of choice, that also helps us, I guess, and to maintain a competitive edge.
And I'm going to throw you on at here, Leah. Is it a
Sure.
different approach when it comes to drivers versus that support staff, whether it's admin, dispatchers, mechanics, all of the above?
Oh, well, absolutely. Drivers and mechanics, we have to move quickly. The mark, they're the kind of candidates that they'll just walk across the street. They'll go, they don't want to see barriers in the hiring process. We have to be responsive in our hiring. That translates to our support staff as well. But we try to be really quick when we get that application. If we see a qualified candidate, get them through that funnel. We've put a lot of efficiencies in place to get them through that funnel quickly, and because they will just go across the street.
Mhm.
It's that's the kind of market. It continues to be that way for the good drivers. That for us, that is the number one thing. And the quality of driver, we really want to focus on that. We need experienced drivers.
And how important is workplace culture?
It's in everything nowadays. Workplace culture is absolutely important. We pride ourselves in having a safety first culture. We pride ourselves in, in presenting to the driving community that we are an employer of choice. We also we spend a lot of time, just instilling that in our terminals, instilling that in our office with different events. We're getting ready to take part in driver appreciation in
Mhm.
just a couple weeks here. That's a really big thing that we do every year. We get involved with that with the AMTA, and we get involved with that just at our terminal level. And we, get gifts specific for our drivers, that kind of thing.
I can vouch for Leah. As long as I have been here, Caron has been involved with our driver appreciation. So we totally appreciate your guys' support on that. And also, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and insight with us today. Is there anything that you would like to add?
No, not at this time. It's a great time to be in this business. It's challenging. It's exciting. Even with the tariffs and whatnot that's going on in the market, I think it's a great time to be in the industry. We're seeing a lot of people gravitate towards it, which is nice to see.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Leah.
Thank you.
For this segment, we're joined by Tanara Ferguson, Senior Project Manager, and Alero Okujagu, Senior Program Manager with Trucking HR Canada. Tanara, Alero, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
Fantastic. We love hearing that. I'm going to start with you, Alero. Can you tell us a bit about the work that you do with THRC?
So at THRC, in my role, I oversee our National Top Fleet Employers Program. And here I work closely with the fleets of all of different sizes across the country. And that gives me the chance to see firsthand, the innovative HR practices that employers are using to recruit and retain talent. I will talk more about the Top Fleet Employers program later, but just in a nutshell, that's what I do. I manage the Top Fleet Employers program at the Trucking HR Canada.
Fantastic. And thank you for joining us today. And
Thank you.
Tanara, can you tell us a bit about your work with THRC?
Yes, for sure. So I manage a lot of the projects. So, for example, we have a number of projects that relate to labor market information. So we work with data and try and translate that data so that employers can make use of it. And a number of our projects also focus on research that helps us create tools and resources within HR, so human resources, to help folks with recruitment and retention.
Awesome. Thank you, Tanara. And for our listeners, in the show notes, we will be including information on THRC, including those LMI reports. There are a ton of valuable statistics in those. Okay, let's dive into retention in the workplace. I'm going to start with a pretty simple one. What are some keys to retention in the workplace?
So, Alero, maybe I'll kickstart
Sure,
a response to that question.
no problem.
There are actually a ton of keys to retention because if you think about it, apart from hiring and attraction, really, I consider everything else that you do part of your keys to retention. However, having said that, if you want to narrow it down to a couple, I think probably what comes to mind for folks first is compensation packages. We always think about the money, we're thinking about salaries, and it continues to be top of mind for employers. We recently did a survey in 2023 that looked at what strategies or practices did companies use most to help with the recruitment and retaining of, in particular, truck drivers, of course, which make up over 50% of our workforce. And offering incentives came up. 75% of our respondents said, dental, RSP matching, health and wellness allowances, they all make a difference. A lot of them said simplifying compensation structures. I know this is not a new conversation, but it continues to come up. And then 55% said just higher wages. So actually considering that and what you're paying folks as a baseline still remains important. And we have seen research from we've been doing some work with MELT graduates in Alberta. So we've been taking a look at where they go after graduation, as well as what are their perceptions of the industry. And one of the things that they've told us is their perception is that compensation is better in other sectors. So that's their perception. We don't necessarily know that. So I think the messaging here for employers is just remember to tell the folks who are coming in to your company, as well as reminding those who are within your company to help with retention, is that your salary and your total compensation package is competitive and what it entails, because I think some people just forget.
Yeah, and I'll just like to back up what she said about, because it's so true. It's what we see in the role that I have with trucking HR, managing the TFEs. I get to see a lot of stuff that the fleets are putting together to work on retention. So one of our TFEs has structured their compensation with clear, transparent pay scales and incentive programs. So letting it be obvious, which this really helps drivers and others, with to see what their long-term career value is. Well, and what does this look like? We're talking about it. They want to know what exactly they're getting, how their pay is calculated and what opportunities exist to earn more. It's not just, that transparency is so important when it comes to compensation. So for example, instead of a complicated mileage formula, fleets provide clear pay scales. Drivers can see what they'll earn this year, next year, and maybe even 5 years down the road. And on top of that, incentives like safety or performance bonuses are laid out clearly so that there are no surprises, for them. And this kind of transparency builds trust for employees, builds trust between the employer and the employees. Drivers don't just feel like they're chasing their pay or that someone else is getting a better deal. Instead, they see a future with the company, not just a job driving, but a career, with a long-term value.
Absolutely, Alero. And I think a key word that you had there was trust. I think trust is huge when it comes to retention within any company, not just the commercial transportation industry. So, Tanara, this might be a bit more focused to you, having mentioned some LMI stuff already, but Alero, feel free to jump in as well. How are retention stats in Alberta based off of some of your last labor market research?
So we, as mentioned, we recently did a survey with employers, and one of the survey metrics that we do track is voluntary turnover. So that's when an employee leaves for whatever reason other than retirement. So it's of their choosing. They're choosing to leave the company. So when we look at some numbers from 2019, the turnover rate was about 16%. But then if we look at our most recent numbers from 2023, it has decreased to 10%. And just as a comparison, for comparison's sake, the national average at that time in 2023 was 8%. So maybe there's a suggestion here that employers can continue to consider that there is room for improvement in the retention space, and that focusing it on it and continuing to talk about it is a good thing.
I could add a little here, just just going past data, because it's not just about those data also, but also about relationship. I just talked about how drivers stay where they feel valued. So that could mean like being recognized for their contribution, having leadership that knows them by name, or being asked for their input on scheduling and operation. So even simple things like regular check-ins or stay interviews can make a difference to those numbers, So yes, the statistics are very important, but they also point us towards the human side, where the employees are less tempted to leave for competitors when they feel genuinely connected to the company that they are employed at.
Absolutely. And I'm going to stick a shameless plug in here for the carriers who are listening. If you have a driver who goes above and beyond, we highly recommend you nominate them for AMTA's Driver of the Month. They get some sweet swag, they get recognized, and then they go into the pool for Driver of the Year. And then that driver is recognized at our annual conference. So there's my shameless plug for the day. Now, driver shortage. It's been around since I've been with AMTA, since I've been aware of commercial transportation. It continues to kind of be a key situation when it comes to industry. Can you guys tell us, does the driver shortage affect retention?
I think both Alero and I
Definitely.
agree. Yeah,
Definitely.
that it does.
Yeah.
And if companies continue to have vacant positions and it is tough to get qualified workers, whether it's drivers or not, um, yeah, it's focusing on retention is really an obvious first step. If drivers also know they can easily leave and find work elsewhere, employers do need to give them a reason to stay. So it's good to be aware of the trends that are taking place within the labor market. So, for example, we know that in our labor market research, we are seeing more people are out of work,
Mm.
and companies are still indicating that they do have some vacant positions. So, potentially, this is a good time to look for new staff. Make sure you have the right skill sets in house to meet the needs of your company now and moving forward. Because there may be more people interested in jobs at the moment.
Yep. And it's like I'll just write on the back of what Tanara just said. If a driver knows that when those vacancies are high, when they know that they can just walk down the road and for a few more cents, they will do that. And the only thing I think that this is when even though it's driver shortage, but this is also a good time for employers to hone that retention. Okay, what can we do? Let's go above and beyond. What can we do to keep our drivers, our employees? What's the extra stuff apart from money? Because yes, compensation is good, but what else can we put out there? What training can we offer our employees or our drivers that will make them see a clear career path when they stay with us, and see that we do value them beyond their work here? We also value them outside of work. So what kind of flexibilities can we also offer? Because the shortage will definitely opens that thing for hopping. One of the biggest issues I've seen amongst the fleets, the ones that I work with in the TFE program, they're like, oh yeah, sometimes we have drivers just hopping. We're always, you always have to hire drivers. We're always hiring drivers. So, what they had to now look introspectively and say, okay, what else can we do? It's not just about filling the seats. It's about making our company the place drivers choose to stay at, So competitive pay is important, but it's not enough on its own. Drivers will leave for if they have to, and they also want to. What really makes the difference is culture. How am I treated by the dispatch, by leadership? Do they listen to my concerns, and how predictable are my schedules? Can I make plans in this place where I work? Can I make plans outside of work? So yes, driver shortage doesn't just make recruitment harder, it raises the stakes for retention.
Alero, I think that actually opens the door to I agree, apart from compensation, that is a baseline that everybody goes to. But we're also seeing in our research and in our work that, again, it goes beyond that. So, for example, the topic of work-life balance has come up a lot in conversation. And so we've seen that employers are indicating that they are focusing on improving work-life balance because employers are requesting it. We're seeing that within our research with women in particular, that's what they're looking for, younger people coming into the workforce. And work-life balance can include, for example, this flexible workplace practices, which I know we talked about a lot during the pandemic, but that's continuing to be talked about. And that can include different start times and end times, work from home models, job sharing. And if I'll make a plug now. So if employers are interested, we have a full suite of tools and resources in our HR resource library that's for free, that, for example, can walk you through, regardless of where you are in the flexible workplace practices space. It can help you with the assessment all the way to providing you with template policies that you can use within your company. So lots to think about there.
You two are making this so easy for me. That was going to be a question I was going to throw at you, but it's so true. And drivers, absolutely. But I mean, it starts admin, HR, safety, mechanics, so many different elements of industry that what is keeping me here and why. I think that's hugely important. So now, Alero, we're going into your specialty. Can you delve into the Top Fleet Employers Program, or TFE, how it works, how to get involved, what it means to Selected? Give us the whole gamut.
I love that. So the Top Fleet Employers Program. Yeah, so this is Trucking HR Canada's national program, and it recognizes the importance of having sound and excellent HR policies and practices in the trucking and logistics industry. The program started in 2014, just with 10 fleets, and it has grown tremendously. We're so proud of that, where we recognized 108 fleets this year. And so it's not just about, it's really all about HR excellence. And this is how it works. It's not a competition. Fleets apply to get into the program by going through a thorough application process to show what they are doing in areas like recruitment and retention, training and skills development, employee engagement, workplace culture, DEI, and more. There are about 10 sections that they go through answering thorough questions. So the application is then submitted and then assessed by independent assessors and also by us internally at THRC. And those who excel and meet the standard are recognized every year as Top Fleet Employers. Now, this is not just a title for us and for them. It's a benchmark of excellence. So because it helps our Top Fleet employers stand out as employers of choice in a competitive industry. I was at Truck World, was it 2 years ago? I think, yeah, it was 2 years ago. And, we had the buttons for the TFEs at Truck World that says, I am proud to be a Top Fleet employer.
Oh, nice.
And, I could see other fleets who were not saying, hey, why can't I get that? I'm like, oh, apply, go through the process. We'll be happy to, recognize you as a Top Fleet employer every year. So, and during the the exhibition, we saw there are a lot of people trying to get employed as drivers coming into Truck World. You see them gravitating towards those fleets that had the they put it up there, we are Top Fleet employers. So it helps our TFE stand out as employers of choice, and for employees it's a signal that this is a company that will invest in me. And getting involved is very simple. All you need to do, you apply each fall. The application opens each fall. So very soon, in a couple of weeks, we'll have the application open on the Trucking HR Canada's website. And then when you submit the application about end of January, early February, results will be announced in the springtime. And this is after the submitted applications have been thoroughly assessed by several assessors. And then we get to announce, and we also give them something called we call it a scorecard, but it's actually a feedback on all the different sections, recruitment and retention. Wow, this is something you're doing great at. Well, these are a few places where they could, room for improvement, so that's also something that our fleets like to take away as a kind of like a management tool. They use it to make plans for the year. Okay, now let's focus. What can we do about DEI this year? What can we do about recruitment and retention this year? How can we improve about recruiting women or young people into our space? If it's not about recruitment, mental health, what else can we be doing? So that's like a fantastic tool that I know that our fleets love to receive every year after the announcements are made. And then the tip of the the icing on the cake is that we get to celebrate everyone who is recognized as a top fleet employer in our annual gala in Toronto in October. And it's great. The program is really about raising the bar across the industry and showcasing best practices in HR best practices. As you can see, it's a program I'm really passionate about, and I love that our fleets also love the program, and we do have awards giving. How could I forget to mention that? We have awards giving to, it's not a competition, but of course, in the assessments, there's some fleets that were like so wowed by some of the stuff that they're doing that were like, this fleet deserves an award. So every year we have like 14 awards that the fleets get from what they have from the assessment of their application. The only one that is not from the assessed application is the HR Leader of the Year award, which is each fleet gets to nominate a senior HR professional within their organization that they think is deserving of that award. And that's like a very coveted award. So we also get to give that at the gala, at the award gala in Toronto in October.
It sounds like a fantastic event. I have always read about it. I've yet to attend, but we'll put that on the to-do list. And I love that your passion shows through. Super important initiative that you guys are doing. All right, let's ramp down to the end here. Tanara, is there anything that you would like to add on our chat today?
So one of the other areas that we know that fleets are focused on is providing the opportunity to grow and creating a culture of continuous learning. So these two sort of work hand in hand. Employees are interested in coming into a company and seeing how they can progress through that company, but not everybody wants to progress from the role that they enter a company in. So also just creating the space for employees to learn and grow within their current occupation. They're also looking for that type of opportunity. So if you offer that, I think it also benefits the company in that not only are you catering to what the employee is interested in, but we also know that the skill set of employees continues to change. I mean, if you think about all the new technologies that have come into place within the companies, within the trucking and logistics industry, it's growing every year. And I'm sure a number of employers are nodding their heads on the phone thinking, oh, yes, I can think of a new technology, that we're now using that we weren't using 2, 3, 4 years ago. Ways that a company can do that. Think about, do you have a learning pathway for the folks that are in your company? Do you know what the career goals are for each of the individuals that you've hired? Think about the learning that you provide. People learn differently, adults learn differently. So can you offer them classroom training or online courses? Maybe it's a mentor or a hands-on project that a person can dig their hands into that they can garner a learning experience from. Regularly, we're recommending in our resources that you regularly assess the skill sets within your organization, within your company, just to make sure that you have the skills that are needed now and into the future. And yeah, just foster, consider as you're fostering that culture of learning, consider offering those education opportunities. Have your employees look for education opportunities, encourage them to attend conferences, participate in professional development. There's lots of ways you can look at approaching it. So I just encourage companies to continue those efforts.
Perfect. Thank you. And Alero, anything you'd like to add?
I'll just add this, that, recruitment and retention are two sides of the same coin. And programs like our TFE program celebrate the fleets who are already, leading the way, but they also shine a light on best practices that others can learn from. So whether it's, like we've mentioned, flexible scheduling, mentorship, wellness support, or leadership transparency, these things work. And if you're listening and you want to know more, you can connect with us. Head on to truckinghr.com, our website. We have loads of resources, tools, blogs, templates. We'll love to connect also. And if you're out there and you feel like you're a fleet that should be a top fleet employer, please, applications will be opening soon. So apply just right from the website there. And that's about it for me.
Amazing. Tanara, Alero, thank you both so much for your knowledge and your insight. I've had a lot of fun chatting with you guys today.
Same here, Kelsey. Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah,
This was fun.
thank you, Kelsey.
I would once again like to thank all of our guests today, Tanara, Alero, and Leah, for all your insight and knowledge today. We always appreciate the folks who sit down and chat with us on Steering Change. For some AMTA news, it's back! Registration for AMTA's Drawdown Dinner, taking place October 16th at the River Cree Event Center, is open through October 7th at 4 p.m. For sponsorship opportunities, please reach out to events@amta.ca. We are looking forward to seeing you there. As well, our Sherwood Park Safety Summit takes place October 22nd. Tickets start at only $30. Details and registration are available on amta.ca. Speaking of registrations, you may have noticed some changes to our events page. We switched event platforms, so to register for events, you'll have to create a login. It's a fairly straightforward process, but if you have any questions, make sure to email us at marcom, marcom, @amta.ca. Do you have any questions or comments about the Steering Change episodes, particularly today's? Reach out on our Instagram at AMTA_CA or LinkedIn and Facebook at Alberta Motor Transport Association. Stay safe and see you next time.
Thank you for listening to this episode of AMTA's Steering Change podcast. The views expressed by guests of the Steering Change podcast are their own and may not reflect the views of AMTA, its hosts, or sponsors. Did you have a question that you would like answered on an upcoming episode of the Steering Change podcast? We want to hear from you. To submit a question to the Steering Change mailbag, hit up our DMs on LinkedIn, Facebook, or Instagram with the hashtag Steering Change, and your question will be answered either live on the podcast or by one of our SMEs here at AMTA. We ask that you share this episode with those in your network that could benefit from what we discussed today, and make sure to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast platform so you can be notified when future episodes are released. You can learn more about us and our mission by visiting www.amta.ca. Now get out there and have a safe day.